Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and respected professional with a deep understanding of artificial intelligence from Nashville, Tennessee, USA, Mr. Eddie Irvin. Eddie, welcome to the show.
So glad to be here. Great to be here, Ashutosh.
Thank you. Thank you. Eddie is an AI strategist. He's a fractional CTO and at the National AI Advisory. So, Eddie, my first question, what is the biggest mistake leaders make when they first decide to adopt AI? Because everyone's now
That's great.
wanting to adopt AI and it's a fashionable word.
Yep. Yep, totally. It's a great question. And the idea of adopting AI, what's really happening now is half the people have no idea what to even do.
Correct.
Of everybody who wants to adopt AI, the next question is, okay, so now what? And so, that if they don't have a decent understanding of AI themselves, they don't even have the pieces and parts to put together to be able to then figure out, okay, we can use it this way and this way and that way. And I find that you're not, if this is you, you're not alone. It's so new that there's always something going on with AI that even the AI, the people that work in AI haven't touched yet because it's such a huge area.
Yeah.
But the main thing I would say is let's get clear on what you're doing over and over again
Mm,
that is stealing your time or your team's time away.
mm,
And spend some time with AI yourself, just playing with it and messing around. And that's
mm.
going to give you the vocabulary you need in order to make better decisions for your business.
Well said. And what does practical AI adoption actually mean in operational
Mm.
terms?
Yeah, so I want to be sure to not overcomplicate here. When we're talking about practical AI, sometimes it's just a simple little module, a simple little small program that runs and runs and runs.
Mm,
If it's research you needed to do and it can do it every single day.
yeah.
If it's bringing a file from one place to another and renaming it. It's all these little small little parts and pieces that typically we have to own the whole thing. We've got
Mm,
to download the PDF. We have to make the one change. We have to send it over there. We have to create a ticket over there to get somebody else to deal with it. It's all these little small death by a thousand cuts that is now going to be taken care of with AI. And starting with just the stuff that's stealing the time away the most, sometimes you don't even need AI. And so I want to make sure
mm,
we're looking at two different things here.
yeah.
AI is a thought machine. It helps think, it helps understand. There's
Correct.
also just automation, which is, hey, just bring this from here and put it over there. I don't need
Yeah.
you to figure out what to do. Just bring
Mm,
it over. And
mm,
so sometimes when people say AI, they're kind of lumping in automation.
mm.
And the AI piece of that would be the thought process of, okay, I just received a file. Where should I put it? I've got 15 different places to put it. Where
Yeah.
should I put it? And
Mm,
looking at that data. Yeah.
Great response. Eddie, tell me, how should a CEO think about AI differently from a CTO or a CXO?
Mm. Well, so for those different people, they're going to have different understandings of AI, so they
Correct.
can't help but think of it differently. The CTO is coming from the point of view of, all the deep tech and all, how it's all going to work together. The CEO is focused on the health of the organization, make sure everybody has what they need, making sure
Correct.
that they're looking at the vision and understanding the vision. So even the uses, let's say that all of them are using AI and deploying AI. They're all using AI in a different way. The
Mm,
CEO might want a daily report that's looking at the whole industry and the competitors and anything that's happening in the news and anything
yeah.
that's happening with partners or whatever else is going on. They're
Mm,
focused on relationship building, vision, all this stuff. The CTO is going to want that weekly or daily report on all
mm,
the new tech that's coming, all the changes with OpenAI, any changes to APIs, any things on the cusp of that we have to take advantage of or play with and understand. So they're all looking at it from a different point of view, and they
mm,
can't help but do that because AI really is it's a custom fit suit. It's something that fits around us that helps us do what we're already doing.
mm,
Now, when I use AI as a fractional CTO, sometimes I'm writing code,
mm.
sometimes I'm strategizing code, right? Because it's an extension of what I'm doing anyways. I'm just doing it faster
Yeah.
with the help of AI.
Amazing. What is your first diagnostic step when entering an organization which is considering AI?
Very good. Um, if they've already got AI and automation systems running, I want to understand what do you have? What's the technology? What's your stack essentially? Where are we at already?
Mm,
Once we understand the playing field of, okay, you've got nothing, or you've got, Zapier or Make.com automations here and there, or maybe you already have a bunch of open clause and you're doing
mm,
things like this. I want to just get the baseline. Where are we at? And then also too, the understanding of the organization. You know, I'm talking to different people with different levels of technical understanding. And so for
mhm,
some people, if they're non-technical, I'm breaking everything down simply and making these kind of difficult technical decisions to be kind of easy, sort of, hey, this or that, which one would you
mm,
like?
mm,
But the idea is that we want to be able to take a look at what they're already doing, and then really we go straight for, okay, are we going to be optimizing your time in the C-suite and the stuff that
mhm,
you're doing?
mhm,
Or are we actually building modules for your team? And your
mm,
team is, let's say you're in a business where you've got in order to scale, you have to hire more. It's just kind of one to
mm,
one. You want to scale
mm.
more, you got to hire more.
Yeah.
That's when we start looking at, well, what are they doing? And
Mm,
can we equip that same team with more insight and more understanding of how AI can help them, and then start building modules that can actually save them time along the
mm,
process. So getting
mm.
clear on
Yeah.
where are you guys at, what's the foundation, and then where are we going first? Are we saving your time first and building that custom fit suit around you, C-suite, or are we building it around your team?
Well said. What signals tell you a company is structurally prepared for an AI integration?
Mm. Structurally prepared. Nowadays, when you're getting started with AI, it's pretty easy to kind of set up a new stack or set up a new
Mhm,
area. If nobody's ever used AI and they're not great with computers, then that definitely slows things down, because a ton of the things we're doing with AI are utilizing computers and working in systems. That said, it's a
mm,
lot easier now than ever. But getting started from scratch isn't horribly difficult. Typically I'm telling people we have to have an automation platform, Make.com or Zapier, where we can call ChatGPT behind the scenes, where we can call
yeah.
ChatGPT not being on ChatGPT.com,
Mm,
or Claude API. So it's not really difficult if somebody doesn't have a stack yet. But what that would tell me now in this ecosystem, if they haven't touched AI at all, that just tells me kind of where they're at in their understanding of and being equipped with AI. And so
mm,
that's going to change how then I relate to them and explain things to them, because they're going to need it distilled down in kind of a different level,
mm,
so that they can understand what's going on. And
mm,
I want everybody to understand at least enough to be able to dream and envision new things to do with AI, even if they're not technical. So some of the start is going to be just, hey, let me help you kind of get a good model in your mind of what we're even doing here,
mhm.
because the business owner has all the domain expertise.
Yeah.
So if they know a little bit more about AI, they're going to be dreaming in new directions that maybe
Mm.
the person implementing AI in the business might be thinking.
Very well said. And how do you prevent AI initiatives from becoming isolated technology projects instead of business projects?
Hmm. Communication is the first thing popping to the top of my mind. Having good communication is always, it's so important for a business to be running really well, that everybody's communicating. If we're, all going around and doing our own thing, if there's no leadership from the top down on here's how we do it, here's where we use it, here's what's okay to put into LLMs, here's not what's okay. If there's no leadership from the top on here's our structure, here's our strategy,
Mm.
then you're going to end up with all these isolated cases where somebody in this one department is a fan of
Yeah.
AI and just starts using it. And then
Mm.
somebody else in another department just starts using it. One person's on Claude, one person's on ChatGPT,
Yeah.
one person's trying to build agents, one person's doing this other stuff. So it's really having a conversation. It's having an ongoing conversation. It's having a system in place where, let's say this is you and you're saying, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, my people are starting to play with AI.
Yeah.
Starting a Slack channel or something where you say, listen, I know we're kind of playing and we're doing all this other stuff. I want everybody to bring their ideas together, and we're going to
Mm.
design here's how we do things at the business. And now we've got an SOP. And at
Mm.
that point forward, now we've ironed it out. And anybody new trying AI stuff
Mm.
can then follow that same process. And we're all
Mm.
then doing it together.
Mm. The other thing I've seen, Eddie, in several of the companies that I sit on the boards of, is that a lot of the non-technical people seem to be in awe of people who are
Yeah.
implementing AI. How can non-technical leaders ask better questions?
Oh, I love that question. That's a very good question. The real answer is that the non-technical people have to start having fun with AI. They have to start
Correct.
playing with it.
Yeah.
It's this is a silly vision, but imagine you're a kid and somebody else is riding a bike and you go, "Oh man, I wish I could ride a bike. That looks amazing. How do you do
Mm,
that?" Right?
mm.
At the end of the day, it's not just asking a better question of the person riding the
Yeah.
bike, it's getting on the bike,
Correct.
right? And so
Correct.
what happens then is as you kind of throw yourself into a new area as that being a non-technical person, I'm just going to go play for an hour. I'm just going to go try to talk to AI.
Mm.
Even in just that, you are learning so much more than just
Correct.
information gathering. Right?
Mm.
When we try, we start see it's we're building a different kind of model. And so
Mm.
it's a little bit of, let's ask some questions, sure, but we've got to play with it. What I would say is, if you're the non-technical person in the room looking at other people with AI in awe,
Mm.
say,
Mm.
give me a starting place. I don't know anything. Just be very, very honest on here's where I'm at. I don't know
Mm.
anything. I've got about an hour. Where should I go? What should I do?
Correct.
And so, I would, if I was the person on the other end of that, I'd say go to Claude,
Yeah.
search for Claude, start talking to it, start asking it questions, start asking what it can do and what it can't do, as if you hired somebody new and you don't
Mm.
know what they're good at. Tell me
Mm.
about what you could do. Tell me about your skill set. Tell me about what else I can do here.
Mm.
And, using AI to be able to help us understand AI is really a fantastic way to do it. That being comfortable enough to at least just chat. If you
Mm.
haven't done anything, to just chat and then be able to ask questions and continually ask questions,
Mm.
that's going to get you so far because you're going to start discovering, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I had no
Yeah.
idea that you could just
Mm.
build me a graph right here. I had no idea you could build me a website.
Mm.
Oh my God, I had no idea. And so what happens then is all this beginning flowering thought on, okay, well, if I can do this and this and this and this and this and this, and then you go into your workday and you're downloading that same file again, or
Mm.
you're analyzing it the same way again, you start instead of thinking the old way, which is, well, I guess I just got to do it because there's no other way to do it.
Mm.
Now you start thinking, oh, but if I could send this to Claude and I could
Mm.
do this and this, you start dreaming in new directions. And
Mm.
that's really the beginning here, that when you're looking from the outside,
Yeah.
you're going, what are you doing with AI? Dive in.
Mm. Great response. Tell me, does AI increase control or reduce it? And how should leaders think of this trade-off?
Does AI increase control or reduce control? It's a little bit of both.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because AI is not deterministic. AI is something where you can run a system 10 times and it can give you a good result. And the
Yeah.
11th time, something can go off the rails.
Mm.
Now, in my experience, it's far better than using any old system. It's such a time savings that it makes sense to use it. But
Yeah.
really, it is different than building software.
Mm.
With software systems, if you get it right, you've got it right.
Mm.
Barring some other edge case that you didn't figure out. If it works, and we're done. And we can just walk away. And a year later, as long as nothing's changed with the back end code, it just still works. With
Mm.
AI, we've got to keep an eye on it. We've got to have continual audits,
Yeah.
continually understanding how is it working, what is it, how is it doing, having it analyze itself and to do evaluations on what's going on. How good was this answer? Was this on point or not? And so we
Yeah.
need to build a framework around watching what it's doing. And so it's a little bit of like, yes, we're gaining control because we're now able to do so many more things to a certain spec. When you're processing this file, AI, look at this, then this, then we're basically building an SOP into the system as opposed to having to ask the human to follow the SOP, which may or
Mm.
may not happen sometimes. And then
Mm.
at the same time, as it's following that SOP, it may skip something. It may
Correct.
try to think outside the bounds. So
Mm.
we've got to be clear on not just what to do, but also what it should not be doing and
Mm.
really trying to tighten it in the way that we want it to be. And part of that shaping process is iterative and revisionist. We revise it over and over again,
Mm.
seeing what result it gives us, and then feeding back and going, wait, you see how you did this? Good job,
Hmm.
nice, but I don't want you to do that
Yeah.
here. I want you to do this instead, and continually tightening. And as we do that, as we mold and shape, we can get to a place where it's mostly trustworthy, but it is a little bit of a loss of control. At the same time, gaining control.
Hmm. Well said. Uh, Also wanted your perspective on, how should corporate leaders sitting around a board table ensure that governance structures of large institutions are maintained and have executive control rather than just get worried about AI taking over the entire process.
Mm. I want to, if you could ask that question a little bit of a different way, I think I understand it. But the idea of, hey, we're running this huge organization. We want to come up with rules of how things are to be done.
Yeah.
Help me out again.
No,
Could you
so
do
I'll
that
explain
question?
that to
Yeah,
you. So,
sure.
large boards, and I sit on several of them. The board members are in the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm,
They're not that comfortable with AI when young people come and give them all
mm,
kinds of data and analytics, and they say
right.
we used AI for this. A lot of the senior board members can't figure out that what kind of data is coming. So someone picks
Mm-hmm.
up a word saying, "How do we know this is not a hallucination of ChatGPT or
Uh-huh.
Claude?" Someone says,
Yeah.
"How do we make sure that we control governance structures? Because now all our data is now with someone else."
Right. Right. So, I mean, the first thing I'm thinking there is we've got to have logs, we've got to have auditable data
Yeah.
that anybody on that team or that board can look at. And
Mm,
really having having some time, I would suggest just a simple walkthrough every week, every few days, hopping on a Zoom with a technical leader that can access all these logs and say, show me what we're bringing in, show me what we're sending out, show me where this is, show me how it's, and basically, where's the data being stored. The difficulty here is the non-technical board leader doesn't understand how things normally should be or where things normally should be. For instance, if somebody says like, "Oh, this data's on the server," that's like it's kind of like saying like, "Oh, the stuff is inside the house." It's like, well, is the house locked? Is there a security system? Is there anybody there? Is it way out in the middle of nowhere and nobody's checking it?
mm,
Just saying it's on a server isn't enough information. Of course, there has to be an element of trust, right? If you're trusting these technical leaders with the rest of your software and the rest of your data, then we can extend that also to AI. But
mm,
there's also, because we're now sending things to these big companies, where we're sending information to ChatGPT through the API or Claude through the API, anytime we're sending data out,
mm,
you know, it can be intercepted. I learned, a couple years ago, I remember the Pentagon got hacked. And I just remember thinking, man, if the Pentagon can get hacked,
mm.
literally anybody can.
Correct.
If that's it's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
So it's not that there's, a way to do AI where your information is just fully more secure than the Pentagon will be,
Mm,
but there's best practices. And for somebody to be questioned on, listen, I want to know what's coming in, what's going out. Show me an example of the data today. Show me an example of the data a few days from now. Help me understand, maybe give me a report and a data package of all the technical jibber jabber that you want to put in, and tell me about. And then I will, as the non-technical board member, I'll know
mm,
enough about AI to
mm.
go to Claude and say, here's my stack, here's what's
Correct.
going on, where could there be holes? Ultimately, it shouldn't be on the board member to assure the technical, safety of the
Yeah.
information, but I
Yeah.
understand it, wanting to know and like just double check, like, or just have some insight on, as opposed to it's this magical black box of like, oh, okay, I can at least wrap my head around what's going
Yeah.
on. And then, having then continual audits, whether it's you, the board member, sitting down with somebody and say, let's take a look at it because you're really interested, or just a system in place telling your technical leadership, I want audits this every so often. I want to even hire an external company to do security audits for me.
Hmm.
That kind of thing would give me confidence.
Very interesting. And therefore, a follow-up question for you. What
Sure.
skills should leaders develop to stay relevant in an AI-driven economy?
That's great. Ashutosh, AI is coming for us all. You
Yeah.
know, it used to be like, oh, AI is just going to be a chat bot and that's all it's going to be. And now it's coming for white collar jobs. It's changing consulting businesses, et
Yeah.
cetera. So, you know, the real solution there is start using it more. And I know that's kind of a pat answer, but as you use it, you start to see things that other people can't see in the same
Correct.
way that your business prowess, you're combining different things together to
Mm.
make this business. That
Mm.
same skill set applies to AI. You just need different ingredients. You just need to know the different pieces. Once you start to understand these different pieces, even if you're not a technologist,
Mm.
you could start to do a ton of work and thought work and vision around, ooh, if we could connect this and this and this. You know, for me as you know, working in AI and being in tech, first of all, I can't keep up with all the new things that are
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
but the fact that I know each and every different, you know, different type of, you know, AI style, you know, voice and text to speech and transcriptions and creating images and creating videos and all these
Mm.
different, you know, ways of using AI now allows me to then be malleable when a business owner comes to me and says, "Oh, I've got that, I'm wasting 15 hours a week on this thing with my team," or "Man, it takes us so long to be able to da da da." I just start building it in my head.
Mm.
Now, I'm a software developer. If you're non-technical, I don't expect you to be able to do that. But the more time you spend just seeing what's out there, past Claude, the next level is understanding automation platforms like
Yeah.
make.com, or if you've heard of Zapier before, connecting the dots from one thing to the
Mm.
next.
Mm.
And each new piece and part you build, it's kind of like a letter in the alphabet. And with just adding one letter, you can now make all these new words. You add
Mm.
another letter, oh, you can make all these new words. And so you've got to dive in, you've got to play,
Absolutely.
and coming to AI with questions to help you expand in that direction. Here's where I'm at. I don't know that much. Here's all about me and my business. Tell me what I should be doing with AI. How can I
Correct.
harness this? Is the way to
Mm.
go.
Mm. Amazing. Eddie, you have time for two more questions.
Great.
Where do you see AI deliver measurable efficiency gains?
Mm. I would say in any repetitive task
Mm.
that is at a higher level is
Mhm.
is the best. Anytime we can give a CEO back even an hour a week, that can have huge dividends. What can they do with that hour a week, right? So starting from the very top of, if we can even automate something small
Mm.
for the C-suite, game on. We're good to go. And so for a smaller business, depending on the size of the business, you know, that person in C-suite might be spending a lot of time doing research.
Mm.
And AI is fantastic at research and can research all day, every day, and continually give you reports. So that kind of system, you know, if we're talking about the C-suite, it's
Mm.
likely going to be research and information gathering and digging in. And if we can build a system around, you know, what information are you looking for customers? Are you looking for customer information? Are you looking for industry information? Are you looking for, you know, expanding your business and maybe even some ideas for how to grow your business? Whatever that is, whatever you're putting your mind to, and wish you just had a magic button to just say, give it to me right now. I don't want to go look for it.
Mm.
That's where AI can really come alongside.
Mm.
If it's, you know, 24/7 research and it's ingesting your company data and it's
Mm.
actually, you know, it knows, it has all this context for what's going on. That's huge. And I want to make a point here.
Yeah.
AI is dumb about you until you give it context and
Correct.
information. And the
Correct.
more context and information you give it, the better it can do. Imagine you
Absolutely.
hire somebody, you say nothing about your company, you say, you work over there, there's your desk. Goodbye.
Mm.
Right? They're going to say, what do you want me to do? What can you tell? Can you give me an idea? Right? They're stuck in the same way that AI would be stuck.
Yeah.
So as we consider AI like a junior employee, somebody getting started at the beginning, now it makes sense to give all this context. Here's everything about the business you need to know. Here's everything about our customers. Here's
Mm.
what we're aiming to do. Here's
Mm.
from the C-suite. Here's what my vision is or what I want to do or what I want to be looking for. And then we can create research expeditions based on that. We can create automated research expeditions that are always looking for data surrounding those things and then
Mm.
delivering a daily report. So that's kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic way of helping the C-suite. And then for anything with somebody who's not in the C-suite, it's all the, you know, bringing this from here to here. If we're, you know, onboarding somebody, we've got to send them this and they've got to
Mm.
sign that and they've got all these tiny little pieces that we're managing. Let's turn that into a system and just have
Yeah.
it run. And you're free. And then you could focus on things, either serving more people or focus on things that are higher up in the business.
Very well said. And my last question for you, Eddie.
Sure.
You're an AI strategist. As you look ahead 5 years, what, in your view, will distinguish companies that have adopted AI wisely and from those that adopted it poorly? And my
Ah.
assumption is that everyone will adopt it.
Yeah, well, and I think you're spot on. I think that we're
Mm,
going to have no choice to adopt. And also, to the software that we're using will just automatically start using AI
correct.
more. So, whether we go to AI to use AI or just use software that harnesses AI,
Mm,
we're going to be using it.
yeah.
The people that are not doing it well are building sporadically. They are not testing, they're not checking, they're just hooking it up and turning it on.
Mm,
There was a study from MIT that, a few months ago where basically it said all these big companies that just adopted AI agents and just said, hook it up, turn it on, let's go. 95% of them failed. And what they didn't do was take the time to
mm,
train, to watch, to revise.
yeah.
It's almost as if they put the clay down and then they just walked away. It's like, hold on a second. We need to mold the clay. We need to work with it. It's not just hook it up and turn it on and walk away. It's hook it up, turn it on, and start talking to it. Start working with it.
Mm,
Start seeing what the output is of this fantastic new machine you have, this new
mm,
assembly line.
yeah.
What's the input? What's the output? How can it be better? It's all this analysis that's different than regular software development. Originally with software development, it's again, you get it done and it just works. With AI, it's going to be more creative. It's going to come out the other end in lots of different ways. And so, what we need to do is we need to go through that process, have a good revisionist process,
Mm,
have a good auditing process, so that as we then move forward, we're
mm,
not creating more and more technical debt where we
mm,
just turn these things on and there's a fire over here and there's a fire over there and there's a fire over there. We'd rather make sure we get it set, make sure we get it really good and also have a human in the loop. For any AI system, it's
yeah.
best to play ping pong. It's
Mm,
best to play, hey, AI, here's what I got. Give me some ideas. Okay, great. I want these. These sound great. Okay, I'll do some more. Okay, I like that, but change this. It's this ping pong back and forth, keeping us in it, but then we're doing 5% of the work instead of
correct.
100% of the work. And
Correct.
so, better communication, better auditing and spending more time with revising to just make sure that we're solid from the beginning before we take our hands off it and start working on the next AI project.
Very well said. And on that note, Eddie, I just want to say what an amazing conversation this has been
Great
with you.
conversation. So fun.
As you were talking, it took me back. I'm much older, so I've seen when computers came in into the world, and we saw those massive computers, and everyone said
Oh yeah, the
computers
whole
will take
filling the
away
whole
their
room.
jobs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then came the internet, and people started saying, "Oh, with the internet, everything will go away."
Right.
Now there's been AI, which is a third significant change that has happened in
Yeah.
technology
It's
for a
incredible.
common
Yeah.
person. So, I think you've brought this home very, very strongly to all my viewers and listeners that you have no choice but to adopt it, to learn it,
I think
and
so.
the
Yeah.
only way to do it is to get your hands dirty. That's a great
Yep.
lesson that you've given to all my viewers and listeners. Thank you for
Yep.
speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.